Verrazano. We're The Score. 92.3 FM KWRZ Canyonville and 1490 AM KSKR Roseburg. It's the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show, presented by BTB Moving. We're setting up shop, so pop open the cooler, pull up a seat.
Who wants to have some fun?
Let's talk some pigskin.
There's a heavy conversation whether or not Colorado's going to make a bowl. You could have that conversation for Oregon right now. And the talk going into this year was Oregon could go undefeated. They could go 12-0. Yeah. They could win the Big Ten. And right now the conversation is Oregon going to have a winning record, maybe?
From the Score Sports Closet, it's the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show.
Well, good afternoon, good welcome to everyone. I'm just too excited. Words are just difficult. Good afternoon and welcome in.
It's hard to speak when there's so much excitement in the state of Oregon.
Welcome into the Score Sports Closet, everybody. That is Knight Jarecki. I'm Joey Keeran. It's time to talk some football here on the Score as we welcome you into our Friday afternoon program called the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show. Just like you're hanging out and talking ball with your buddies before the games get underway, that is what we've got going on for you here this afternoon. And boy, oh boy, what a weekend we are in store for here coming up, because there is a lot that is kind of going on here in the state of Oregon.
My gosh.
I mean, could you ask for more?
Can you see the smile on my face? Like, I am just ecstatic right now. Oh my gosh. We're less than 24 hours away from College Game Day in Eugene. That's not even to say I'm really excited for Willamette versus Roseburg tonight.
I was going to say, let's start with our Friday night activities. We got high school football coming up here tonight, but then it is the big showdown. It's been circled on your calendar since the schedules came out. Oregon, Ohio State, and they are going to be meeting at Autzen Stadium tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 and kicking off the week in college football. It's the just esteemed program, College Game Day, back in Eugene, and they are setting up shop. They got started yesterday. It will kick off at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning to get everybody ready for what is going to be a fantastic day up in Eugene. Well, I mean, I hope so. I mean, as a fan of the Oregon Ducks and alumni of the program, of the school, I should say, I did not play football at the University of Oregon. We hope that this is going to be a good weekend for the Ducks, but nonetheless, it's going to be a big weekend of college football. The college football universe is circling around the Autzen Stadium, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So there's a ton going on. We are not forgetting, for all of you Oregon State fans out there, we're not forgetting the fact that Oregon State is on the road at Nevada, looking to go to an impressive 5-1. Knight's more concerned about the uniforms.
Dude, they're awesome. I love the helmets. You know, we talk a lot about Oregon and the uniforms they have. Oregon State has some great uniforms this week.
You know, I think Oregon has set the trend in the college football world for the most part. There's a lot of fun stuff that people have done with uniforms.
Western Kentucky last night, incredible.
Oh, that was last night.
Yeah,
dang it.
They beat the Miners. It was like 41-17. If you haven't seen Western Kentucky, they put they have, how do you describe the mascot? It's a big red.
Big Red, isn't he?
Yeah, Big Red is his name.
Yeah.
It's like Grimace from McDonald's. It's
but
like
he's
that,
red.
but he's red. He's just like a big blob. That's what he is. And it has big old eyes. And they put the big eyes on the football helmets. It was incredible.
It's good look there. I want to touch base back on that in a little while, but we've got a lot to get to today, and we are going to try to do our best to stay on topic and on time. The big thing being on time. As we learned last Friday, off topic can be perfectly fine. Last Friday's show was a great one because it was just all over the place. But we welcome you in. Today we do have an interview coming up in our next segment. We get a chance to talk with the esteemed Joey Mack, who will be joining us. He is there each and every game day for the Oregon Sports Network. He's taken more of a behind-the-scenes role with the football broadcasts again this year, but he's still there. He's still talking to players and coaches.
Oh, yeah.
He's still a part of the program.
He hosts
you
the
may
pregame
not,
show.
Yeah, you may
he
not hear
produces
his,
the game.
He may not hear his voice on the radio as much during the actual game, but he's still every bit of it, and he'll be there for basketball and baseball later on in the season as well. And he's going to give us the pulse of the action going on up in Eugene right now. As I'm gotta imagine it's electric. It's just buzzing.
Oh my gosh!
You still have friends on campus.
Yes.
I'd be curious what that's like.
Oh, they're sending me videos. They're sending me texts. They're getting fired up. They're already planning on when they're going to start drinking.
Hey, if you're in college and you're probably not really all that focused on classes for this weekend, by all means.
I got a text from a buddy that was like 2 a.m. power hour, walk over at 3, and I was like, have fun. Like, that's not me.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know if that was really me in college. It might have been me like the year after college when I really was like, I don't have school anymore. I'm just working 9 to 5, and then weekends are free. Like, let's go. But yeah, anymore.
That's so crazy. You'd think it'd be the opposite.
You would have thought so, but like school was a focus. I just was dialed in.
You were an academic weapon.
I guess so. I mean, all I did was like literally they were like, these are all the things you need to accomplish to get your degree. And I was like, all right, just look at that list each term and be like, what do I need? Okay, there we go. Now, I did get a few electives in there that were a little fun, but I digress. We're going to try to, like I said, we're trying to stay on topic.
Oh. I wish I
we'll
could
get into my multiple terms of trampoline at some point in the near future.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We
So,
did talk about that at one point.
We did, yeah.
Big trampoline guy.
Oh, big time trampoline. But you know what I'm into right now? You were talking about your buddies on campus. Let's join them. Let's crack a cold one. Let's get this party started.
Nothing gets a tailgate party going like a nice cold beverage. So let's crack one open and kick off today's show with our top story.
This one has not fallen off. It is what we thought it would be. 2 top 5 teams in prime time, both with eyes on the playoffs, both undefeated. Ohio State and Oregon, it's actually here, and it's what we thought it would be.
I try to prepare for each game the same, and certainly everyone knows this game, and what its implications are, but it is a game, right? It's a game. It's the next game. That's why it's the most important one.
It's a special place, and I think it's great for our players. A chance for them to play in one of the special places in college football. They came out here a couple years ago and got to play in the shoe. We get to go play in Autzen Stadium, and it's Autzen Stadium at that time of day. It's truly special. So I think our guys are excited.
Oh, Chip Kelly, he'll know. He knows what Autzen Stadium is like at 4:30 in the afternoon on a game day.
Yep.
That was Andrew Catalano filling in for Rich Eisen, getting ready to talk to Bruce Feldman on Fox Sports Radio, talking about the matchup there. It's just a great segue.
Yeah.
Coach Dan Lanning, of course, there in his weekly press conference, his midweek one on Wednesday. And then former Oregon Duck head coach, former UCLA head coach, and now the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, Chip Kelly, chiming in about the upcoming journey to Autzen Stadium for the Buckeyes. I think the thing I wanted to really highlight about all of that is what Andrew Catalano said at the start of it, is that we all saw this game on the schedule, and I think joining the Big Ten, we all knew the powerhouses that are out there. You got Michigan just won a national championship. Ohio State is always a perennial title contender. Places like Penn State, Wisconsin, traditional blue blood programs there. You join the Big Ten, and it's like these are the matchups that it's like, well, we'd get them sometimes in the Rose Bowl, maybe a non-conference here or there, but it was kind of like, now they're conference opponents. What is this going to be like?
Yep.
And once the schedule came out, you circled October 12th, knowing that day was going to be huge, that Ohio State is finally getting that return trip to Autzen Stadium. And now it's finally here, and it's like neither team is faltered from what we hoped that they would be. And now we got a top 3 matchup coming to Autzen Stadium. And, yeah, like we talked about, we're both a little giddy about it.
We're very giddy. I mean, this has been 4 years in the making, because this was supposed to happen in 2020. It didn't happen because of COVID. Oregon had to go to the Horseshoe in 2021, and now they finally get the opportunity to host Ohio State at home. Oh, my gosh. It's everything about this is spectacular. With Alabama losing last week to Vanderbilt, with Tennessee losing to Arkansas, this is all of a sudden a top 3 matchup, 2 versus 3. This is a college football playoff game. I mean, traditionally, 2 versus 3, and this is exactly what it is. Oregon, Ohio State, they probably would not have met unless it was the playoff for these last couple of years. And finally, you get a conference game. It's a 4:30 kickoff. Electric. Like that, one word to describe everything. Electric. Like it's just incredible.
It totally is. And I got to imagine we're both going to plan on being at Autzen Stadium tomorrow. And you've got a credential. They were very difficult to get.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the stands.
So do you want to know? So they have 220 people that have been approved for credentials. For the Michigan State game with total staff, like coaches, media, scouts, 75 people were there for Michigan State.
I wasn't sure where. You told me over 200. I wasn't sure where that number normally lies. Like, I knew this was going to be big, but holy smokes.
That's the difference with this one compared to a Michigan State game. Ohio State has the largest media group in the country. That's what I've heard. That's what Matt Preem is reporting. When he went to Columbus in 2021, he said he was blown away with how many people were covering the Buckeyes. And they're all traveling to Eugene this week. Good luck finding a hotel.
Good luck for right? If you don't have it, boy, you're sleeping.
It's to the point now that, like, I have a credential. They're putting me on the roof.
Yeah.
And I don't even have parking. I've never been to a game where they're making me pay to cover an event.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It really is. But I'm really excited to see the atmosphere here. And what I hope to be able to accomplish during this process is talk to some Ohio State fans that are going to be there, because they will be. There's going to be plenty of red in the stadium coming up tomorrow afternoon. Oregon's going blackout, so the fans will most likely, if they follow directions, will be wearing black, which I think they did. The stripe out went pretty well. So I imagine black will be the primary color there for the Ducks fans. But there'll be a lot of red, I'm sure, in that stadium because it's a special place. As Chip Kelly said, it's a special place to go.
Yeah.
And I'm sure...
especially at that time of day.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that I thought was really weird, Ohio State made it clear on their game notes that this is not a night game. They were like, it is a 4:30 game. For this to be considered a night game, it must kick off at 5 p.m.
Oh.
That was
wow.
I was like, that's bold.
Yeah.
I feel like 4:30 is a night game on the West Coast. On the West Coast, that is a night game.
You're going to be playing after dark eventually in that one. Interesting that they made that such a big point there. So it's not Big Ten after dark. It's Big Ten late afternoon. But, the place is going to be packed. I want to know what they think of the experience. I think the big talk about this game on social media has been a lot of people that have been at Autzen Stadium at its finest, giving Ohio State fans the warning that it's loud and it can be disruptive. And Ohio State and Big Ten, like true Big Ten teams, Midwest teams that have 100,000 seat stadiums, going, well, you can fit 50,000 people in there? It's not going to be that bad. I'm curious to see what they think when they are done with their initial experience.
Their
of what
stadiums
Autzen
aren't
Stadium
shaped
is.
like Autzen.
No.
That's the thing.
The fans are right on top of you, and that bowl...
The bowl echoes. I'm telling
does.
you, because I just had graduation there,
Oh.
and like in June, I had graduation at Autzen Stadium. We're sitting on the field. I couldn't even hear the graduation speaker. My parents were like, "Wow, that was an amazing speech." I was like, I couldn't even hear any of it because it just echoed so loud. And that's the thing, is that you're down there, and it is ear piercing. It is just so loud. It just ricochets everywhere, and that's what Autzen Stadium allows. It's smaller, but the noise is so compact. It's like Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Just the way that it's built. It's not the biggest stadium, but it's the loudest stadium.
It's definitely going to be fun, and it's going to be interesting to introduce the Big Ten true blue bloods, cream of the crop out there, to what we've got going on here at the West Coast. It's going to be interesting, and you got the travel that's getting into that. I want to touch on that later on in the program about just Ohio State having to go multiple time zones to get here. Apparently that doesn't work out so well for a lot of teams. So we'll see how that goes from going east to west on that.
I think teams are like 1 in 7 when traveling multiple time zones like that.
I think it is something similar to that. So a lot to cover when it comes to this matchup, and we are going to dive into more of it here. As you might expect, we are going to spend a lot of today's program talking about what is not just the biggest college football game in the state of Oregon, and I guess I can't say the Pac-12 because that's not accurate anymore. It's not just the biggest game in the Big Ten this weekend. It's the biggest game in college football this weekend, and pretty much the biggest game this year in college football so far. I'm sure there'll be something that will pop up that'll end up being bigger, especially to seeing how these two teams continue going forward. I thought I was watching a lot of different kind of shows about this matchup because it is so big. Everybody's talking about it. And it was Talking Ducks and Joey Harrington on there talking about, like, look, this game right now is the biggest game at Autzen Stadium, but, like, is it the most important game at Autzen Stadium? We'll find out more about that in the coming months when we see where this Oregon Duck team goes. So, but everybody's talking about it, so as you expect, we're going to probably be talking about it a lot as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest event happening in the state of Oregon.
And by far.
And maybe to this date, this might be the biggest thing.
biggest moment ever.
This is like the biggest moment in the state of Oregon, at least an event happening in the state of Oregon since like the Blazers held the NBA championships in like the 70s, in my opinion.
Wow, man.
I don't know. Am I wrong for that read? Because I feel like there hasn't been a game of this like magnitude.
Huh. That's an interesting query. We'll have to dive into that one. I'll give it some thought there. We'll have to dive into that and see if I could come up with anything else.
Yeah. Like, it's got to be up there.
Yeah, I would imagine it does. We'll get into that. Joey Mack from the Oregon Sports Network going to be joining us coming up in our next segment. But after that, we got open phone lines if you want to share some thoughts on the matchup between the Ducks and the Buckeyes or other things that are going on in the world of football. We'll gladly take you on the program at 541-673-5551. That is the phone number here, 541-673-5551. Can you think of a bigger sporting event to happen in the state of Oregon ever? Yeah, let us know if you got some thoughts on that, some suggestions on that front there. This is the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show presented by BTB Moving, providing labor services for your moving needs. Veteran-owned, affordable, dependable, efficient, and careful. They got senior and veteran discounts available. Book now at 541-315-0122. Find them on Facebook at BTB Moving. Joey Mack joins us when we return. Let's get you a sports update with Knight Jarecki.
For your Score Sports Update, I'm Knight Jarecki. Well, last night was a match that many may have overlooked on the schedule, but the Roseburg volleyball team earned some attention last night as the Indians never wavered in a Southwest Conference match against number 6 South Medford and stunned the Panthers with a 3-set sweep at Robertson Memorial Gymnasium. Senior Arlie Asen led an all-around strong effort by the Tribe with 14 kills, 2 blocks, and 1 service ace. Mason Tabor had 14 digs, and Grace Ibsen contributed 38 assists. The loss was the first in league play for the Panthers. And other highlights from yesterday's local sports action, the North Douglas volleyball team grabbed the lead in the chase for the Skyline League regular season title. The Warriors celebrated senior night with a thrilling 5-set comeback victory over Umpqua Valley Christian. The Monarchs won the first 2 sets before North Douglas pulled off the reverse sweep to win the match 3-2. The Warriors will need just one more win to claim the regular season title outright. The Sutherland boys soccer team is closing in on its first league title since 1995 after a 1-0 win over rival Umpqua Valley Christian. Anthony Rostock scored the decisive goal in the second half. And the Sutherland girls soccer team held on for a tie in the first of the league standings with a dominating 8-0 win over South Umpqua Riddle. Kelsey Engelstad had 2 of the goals for the Bulldogs. You can check out the full local sports schedule and scoreboard at 541radio.com. Also coming up tonight, it's a full slate of high school football, and the Roseburg Indians will try to snap a 2-game skid as the Indians host Willamette for a league game tonight at Finley Field. Willamette undefeated this season, and the Indians look to keep their postseason hopes alive with a win tonight. The game kicks off at 7 p.m. You can tune in for coverage at 6:45 p.m. on the Score, 92.3 FM and 1490 AM.
Whether it's across town or across the state, moving is always a chore. So let BTB Moving help with your next move. BTB Moving is a labor-only company offering statewide services, such as packing and unpacking, loading and unloading, piano moving, cleaning services, and 24-hour emergency services. BTB Moving is an affordable, veteran-owned company here to help with your next move. Call 541-315-0122 or find BTB Moving on Facebook. That's BTB Moving for all your moving needs.
Concrete Builder Supply specializes in all things concrete, from pouring to finishing to restoration. You'll find all the tools such as trowels, floats, and knee boards, as well as a wide variety of stamps and dies. If you're starting a project, stop by Concrete Builder Supply and have all your questions answered, whether you're a first-time do-it-yourselfer or a contractor. Concrete Builder Supply is here for you. Go to concretebuildersupply.com and see their inventory, or stop by on Diamond Lake Boulevard right behind Budget Lumber.
Games and looking ahead to the weekend. This is the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show, presented by BTB Moving.
We are, as they coined the term on Dan Patrick, efforting Joey Mack at the moment. He's got a show coming up at 1 o'clock, so he might be running around doing some final pre-show prep for Duck Insider.
You think it's a busy week for Joey?
He might have a few people that are looking to try and get him on the airwaves, or his own programming that he's got to create. Yeah. I mean, if you're not trying to take advantage, if you work for the Ducks, you work for the Oregon Sports Network.
It's a big week.
You should probably be trying to take advantage of all this wave of notoriety that's coming through the city of
There's so
Eugene.
much. There was a top 20 matchup in volleyball on Wednesday. Oregon was able to win against USC. That was a huge win. Yesterday, Oregon women's soccer, they were facing off against Michigan State, the 5th-ranked team in the country. This is a historically bad Oregon soccer team.
Not where I thought that statement was going.
No. But they drew. They drew yesterday against Michigan State. Joey, I don't know how much you know about Oregon women's soccer, but last year they didn't win a game.
Okay.
It was the first time since 1939 that a University of Oregon team did not win a game during the year.
Any sport?
Any sport.
Ooh.
So
wow.
That's how bad the team was last year. So to pull off a draw against the top 5 team in the country, that's huge.
Okay.
That was huge.
Okay.
It got to the point last year where Oregon had more losses than they did goals last year.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little
It was tough. Actually, I feel really bad for my good friend Levi Bergfold. Not that anybody here in Roseburg would know him, but he was a guy that I worked with at KWVA. He was the voice of Oregon soccer last year. They didn't win a game, and now he is doing marketing at UTEP, and they're 0-6 in football. And we just feel bad for Levi.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all they needed. They needed to get rid of Levi as the voice of the team. Sometimes it feels like that. Like as a broadcaster, sometimes you're just like, man, is it the team or is it me?
We are dialing up Joey Mack here, so we'll get him on the program. And let's see here. Get Joey on to talk about this big matchup that is coming up for Oregon and for the Oregon Ducks. Oh, don't you love it when you're supposed to dial a 1 and you totally miss that? Yeah. But yeah, we'll get Joey here to talk about the Ducks, and hopefully I'm dialing the right number here. Oh, Joey didn't recognize our number. That's the problem. He didn't realize it was us that was calling him. And now the phone system's going to take forever to dial him up. So anyways, we do have Joey Mack coming up here with us to talk about Oregon and Ohio State. 4:30 kickoff tomorrow. Just to give a plug here, too. You can tune in and hear Joey on the radio on the pregame show, and Jerry Allen and Mike Jorgensen and Dusty down on the sidelines. And they are going to be coming up tomorrow, 2:30 pregame show on our news partner, News Radio 93.9 FM at 1240 KQEN. And we're also going to have then the kickoff at 4:30. I believe we've got Joey on the phone line here. Hey, there is our good friend Joey Mack on the line. All right, we finally got all this phone. I don't know what's going on with our phone system. Maybe the lines are busy in Eugene. Is there a lot going on up there? Is there something happening?
Not a thing. It's a slow news day, guys. There's nothing going on, nothing to talk about. Nothing at all. No, to be honest with you guys, I was having a conversation with someone in the hallway. I saw the phone ring, and I'll be honest with you, it said spam risk. I trusted the iPhone, and I shouldn't have trusted the iPhone, guys.
Wow.
That's my fault, and I'm going to get better as a result of it. I thought, I'm getting the call. Wait, no, it's not you guys. And now I know that it's you guys.
Well, that is just an unfortunate situation with our phone number here. I may have to talk to the authorities that be to let them know that we.
Who are the authorities? I mean, who is that? I don't even know.
I'm calling the phone company. I'm getting somebody on the line to let them know. We only spam people every so often. We're not much of a risk. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that tracks.
Oh,
no.
yeah,
anyway,
totally.
I'm sorry, guys.
No worries.
There's nothing going on. There's absolutely no fun down here at all.
Well, we are happy to have you on. Joey Mack from the Oregon Sports Network. He's going to be there in the booth for the game coming up tomorrow at 4:30. As we were saying, you can find it on our news partner, News Radio 93.9 FM and 1240 KQEN. No, seriously, though, what is the buzz like up there? I know you are around campus. You're around Autzen. They're in the offices. What's the buzz like up there? Have you been by the College Game Day set as of yet?
Yeah, it's a cool vibe. I mean, so it's cool when you have all these different things kind of coming together. So like Pat McAfee did his show from Autzen Stadium today. They've got the Game Day set ready. They've been doing hits on SportsCenter. Now, Autzen Stadium on one side of the river, and then the Game Day set and main campus on the other side. So I was over there for my other life as a teacher in the journalism school here at the U of O, and the setup has been going on. And look, it was fun for me, actually, guys, a little bit of a personal connection. Like some of my earliest memories of being in college, actually, Game Day was here. I was a student, first time I went to Game Day, and the only year that I've been in the student section at the U of O was that freshman year. And this has sort of a similar feeling and sort of just a similar like romanticism of college football feeling for me. And so I've had a lot of fun with it because of the buzz. And there's been game days since then. There's been these really exciting ones since. But, I mean, let's be honest, guys. Like, this is the first time we've ever had a top 3 matchup in the history of Autzen Stadium. Just looking at the rankings, this is the biggest game in the history of the stadium. Now, whether it ends up being remembered as the biggest game in the history of the stadium, we won't know that until the full season is put in context. But for right now, being in the national spotlight, having this sort of buzz, yeah, there's a lot of people around, and that makes it pretty special.
Mm-hmm. Joey, you talk a lot about the excitement that's happening. And
nice! Oh, this is so great for me. Nice!
Missed you, Joey. Anyways, but you talk about the excitement and the implications of this weekend, but there's also a lot of other returns. Yes, College Game Day's returning, but also Chip Kelly's returning. Coach Loughlin's coming back. Do you feel like those storylines are kind of getting lost in the fold with all the excitement and implications of this game this week?
I don't know. That's a good question. Like, Chip Kelly in his press conference got asked about it a lot. Ryan Day got asked about it a lot in his press conference. I mean, the questions have been asked, right? Like, it's certainly come up. I know that the Ohio State media corps, like, there's been a couple stories written about Coach Loughlin. I don't know if they've been overshadowed, but, look, truthfully, though, as you guys know, like, I'm in this. Like, I'm in it every day. Like, sometimes I forget, and I'm guilty of this. Like, I don't necessarily know what the general feeling is to the general fan. Like, I'm of the cut with the hardcore fan, for lack of a better phrase, right? Like, because I'm in this. It's what I do for a living, and I'm here all the time, and I'm reading everything that everybody else is. So, I think that those storylines are there. I think in Chip Kelly's case, because he's been back before as a head coach at UCLA, it's probably not as big of a deal as it was maybe a few years ago. I think Coach Loughlin coming back, the question always gets asked, well, hey, does anything change when someone's on the opposing coaching staff that used to be on your coaching staff? And, terminologies may change, and that's a question that's come up over the years too. And I think that it's there. I think that people have certainly been asked about it, and it's been talked about. But at the end of the day, though, like, all of those narratives and storylines, and look, like the three of us, we all work in the narrative life, right? Like, everything that we do is narrative driven to an extent, and storytelling and talking about sports and whatever. Well, at the end of it all, like, the game itself is always the biggest thing, right? And generally speaking, when something's bigger than the game, then it's a really, really big deal. I mean, just think of last week, the example of the bell ring for those that beat cancer at Autzen Stadium. That was the loudest roar of the day, was when the bell was rung. And that's where it's bigger than the game, right? And that's where I think those sort of narratives can really come through. But at the end of the day, And again, using that example, Dan Lanning even said it like, it probably wasn't something that really the team and he was thinking about all that much until after the game to realize, hey, this was pretty cool. So I don't know. That didn't answer your question, but it was at least a lot of talking.
Which we know we get that when we bring on Joey Mack from the Oregon Sports Network. You get a chance to be there kind of when player interviews, coach interviews, things go on. You're diving into those interviews that happen on a regular basis. I was just, as much as Dan Lanning wants to let us know that this is no bigger than any other week of the season, it's just the biggest one because it's the next game. Is there any different feel among the student athletes as this game is approaching, just kind of knowing the big spotlight that is coming up on this one? Have you sensed anything different among everybody?
Truthfully, the Ducks have I think, done a really good job of staying grounded and answering those questions the way that you would expect a lot of veterans to answer questions like that. Look, hey, the question to a veteran like Jeffrey Bassa, how do you stay level? Like, does this feel bigger? And he goes, well, we recognize that this is a big time game. Game like this is why I came back to Oregon. It's why it's special to play at a place like Oregon. But also we got to think about what makes us good and got to think about Oregon. And, then Jeff Bassa even did say, like, to use him again as the example, like, yeah, But if you get too high or you get too low, that's when you start losing games. I mean, a lot of the Ducks have actually answered that question in that way, very grounded. And, one thing that I've really noticed this week is from the top down, the Ducks have tried to kind of stay neutral at practice, right? So big, exciting play happens for the offense. Ducks are going to stay neutral. Big, exciting play happens for the defense. Ducks kind of try to stay neutral. And I think that Coach Lanning and some of the Ducks have talked about that this week, has really made a conscious effort to, whether it be a high, whether it be a low, to kind of stay balanced and keep that neutral mentality. And I realize that a lot of fans are probably rolling their eyes as I say that, but let's remember, like, this is the messaging to 18 to 22-year-olds that a coaching staff has to have in games like this. You don't want your team to get overwhelmed by the moment, right? You want to embrace the moment and enjoy the moment. And sometimes the way to do that is, for lack of a better phrase, a little bit of coach speak.
Joey, we talk a lot about this spotlight. Yes, College Game Day's here right now. Yes, the Pat McAfee show's here right now. But also, John Canzano earlier this week reported that 220 credentials have been approved for this game. What is the average number of credentials approved for a game? And has Autzen Stadium ever had a media crowd like this with so many eyes focused on this game in Eugene?
I don't know an exact number for an average. I'd have to ask the sports information, the communications staff on that. But I will tell you that it's more than I've seen in 10 years of being here. Like, to give fans an idea of how things are set up, the press box in the general main area at Autzen has 3 tiers to it in terms of seats. And it probably spans, I don't know, guys, 30 yards? What do you guys think? Is that how big the general press area is? Maybe 35 yards?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so you can imagine it's like, it's a lot of seats, right? Well, in this game, especially with all of the national media, and Ohio State has a big local media following that is certainly coming out to cover this game, there will actually be seats on the camera deck. So there's a camera deck that's above the press box, still under the wooden overhang on the south side of Autzen. And that's where a lot of like the coach cameras are set up and TV cameras. And at times, Knight, you did a broadcast for KWVA up there, I know. And
Yep.
And that's how it'll be this year, but that's how it'll be for this game, I should say. But there are also general media, as we refer to it, like writers will be up there as well. And then there's a lot of people on the field, photographers and videographers that are covering it. So I think, and I probably should know the answer to that, what the average is. I admittedly don't, but I do think that it's the most I've seen. And just in terms of the amount of seats that the facilities crew and the media relations staff here at Oregon have accommodated, it's the most that I've seen, I think.
You still got your chair for the game?
I do. I'm happy to report. No, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know. When you guys call football, I don't know if you sit. I don't. Like, I actually only sit during, like, halftime and I sit for some of the pregame show when we're going through the pregame show, but I actually stand quite a bit. And I'll be honest, I don't know that I've ever seen Jerry sit during a game. Now that I'm really thinking about that out loud, I don't think I've ever seen Jerry Allen sit during a play-by-play call.
Well, then there's a couple extra chairs. Jorgie and Jerry, they can give up their chairs for some of the visiting media that are coming into town for number 2, Ohio State, number 3, Oregon.
Standing room only. Standing room only.
Even for the media. It's going to be a fun one. I was trying to engorge on all sorts of information about this game this morning, gearing up for the program, gearing up for the weekend, listening to a lot of the quote-unquote experts. And I honestly, I don't feel as if anybody really has a good feel to exactly how this game is going to play out. I was curious, your inklings going into this. Do you feel that there's a certain aspect of this game that you could really kind of put your finger on and say, like, I feel good about this maybe happening for Oregon, or this maybe giving Oregon troubles in this game from Ohio State's side?
I think that the similarities between the two rosters are really striking. And for example, both, I think, teams had questions on the offensive line just from a lack of experience in an Oregon or an Ohio State uniform. And then as the season's moved on, they've kind of both solidified a rotation. These two teams both really pride themselves on stopping the run, 2 of the best in the country at doing so far this season. They both have a lot of depth up front in both the linebacker, pass rush, and defensive line positions. I think that the similarities between the roster are really striking. Transfer quarterbacks with a lot of experience, playmakers at wide receiver, 2 different running backs that can make plays. I can go on and on. Like, these two rosters are constructed very similarly. And so in a game like this, it probably is going to come down to a couple key plays. I feel like whoever handles, there's the age-old, right, win explosive plays, limit turnovers, win the turnover battle, and win in the trenches. Like, you can say that as keys to the game for every single game. But when it's these two rosters that are just this talented, I feel like handling the sudden change that inevitably occurs in a football game is who's going to win this game, or maybe who even prevents a negative turn after a sudden change. So if it's an interception, does your defense give up a score at the other end? That sort of sudden change that I'm talking about. I just get the feeling it's going to be one of those kind of games because the rosters are so similar. There's so much talent. I think the environment's going to be off the charts, which is what, this is supposed to be all about. Games like this are why college football is so fun, and we know that. So I think to your point about just learning about the two teams, and I don't know, guys, they're so similar. I really think it comes down to who handles one of those sudden change moments in a game the best.
Mm-hmm. Joey, obviously there's a big game happening, but also this is kind of a big weekend for Oregon in terms of recruiting. It seems like a big recruiting list is coming in to Autzen Stadium, but it's also an opportunity for the university to promote itself with game day being there. How big of a weekend is this for the University of Oregon, just promoting itself as an institution and also as an athletic department?
Well, I think it's a huge deal. I'm the first to admit, and I've said this to folks on campus before, like, I am example 1A of athletics was the window into Oregon, and then ultimately I decided to walk through the door. I mean, seeing these sorts of games on the national stage and just seeing the environment, look, that was a big part of my college decision. And so I think that it is a huge weekend. Any opportunity that you get for that free exposure for the community and for the campus, it's massive, and especially in the new era of the Big Ten, right? Like, this is the first marquee matchup really of the conference realignment. And look, guys, truthfully, there's going to be more of these in the regular season. And also, this game may not be a college football playoff elimination game. And so I think when you start thinking about the new era and what college athletics is and what it's becoming in college football, this is just another opportunity for a campus like the University of Oregon to stay in that upper echelon, both athletically and academically. So I think that's a great question, Knight. And I think you're a grad, right? Like it's part of this whole structure. It's part of the whole thing that has led to resource investment. And I think athletics, I know I sound a little self-serving saying this, but I think athletics is a huge reason why the campus as a whole has been elevated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Joey Mack joining us here to talk Ducks, Buckeyes coming up in Eugene tomorrow at 4:30. Joey, we know you got to run. You've got Duck Insider coming up here today, so we'll let you get going.
Joey, what is Sarge cooking up today?
Well, the concession item of the game is brisket.
I saw that.
I'm hoping that he's bringing in the test brisket, but I genuinely don't know. For those that are not aware, John Sargent, the director of concessions, he always pops in and brings us some concession test items on a Friday Duck Insider. So it always makes it fun for us. Look, we have no fun, guys. It's a terrible place to work. I hate it.
Enjoy the brisket.
I don't believe that one at all. So, Joey, appreciate the time as always, man. Look forward to catching up with you again here in the near future. And, take a moment outside of being a media member, outside of being, working during the game as you keep the broadcast going there. Take a moment to enjoy the situation because I think it's going to be quite the atmosphere coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, it's good advice. I'm going to do my best to actually take that advice, honestly, Joey.
It's hard to. It really is hard to put that journalist, that media hat away sometimes and remember what it's like to be a fan and what it's like to kind of enjoy what is athletics and sports. So
you're right.
I hope you get a chance.
You're right, especially in these high-pressure games. Sometimes it's, I hear you. I appreciate you saying that because I'm certainly guilty of forgetting how cool it is what we all do for a living sometimes.
Absolutely is, man. Hey, have a great rest of your afternoon there, Joey. Enjoy Eugene, and we'll catch up here soon, man.
Thanks, fellas. Talk to you soon.
All right. Joey Mack joining us there from the Oregon Sports Network and Duck Insider coming up here at the top of the hour. We'll go ahead and take the break. When we come back, we're going to talk about College Game Day and what it's like to be there. I've gotten a chance to go there. You have as well, Knight. So we'll talk about that when we return here on the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show presented by BTB Moving here on The Score.
With a Score 92.3 FM, 1490 AM news update, I'm Ashley Claiborne. The Umpqua National Forest has rescinded the Diamond Complex emergency fire closure order. A UNF release said the closure impacted a small portion of the Diamond Lake Ranger District just east of the Boulder Creek Wilderness. The Homestead emergency fire closure order still remains in effect on portions of the North Umpqua, Diamond Lake, and Cottage Grove Ranger districts. The rescinded Diamond Complex emergency fire closure opens previously closed popular recreation sites. The forest does remain in moderate fire danger. And Teamsters have extended picket lines to every Bigfoot Beverages location, including the distribution facility in Bend. Union officials accuse the company of breaking the law by trying to eliminate a core pension benefit and moving to what they call an inferior 401k plan. Active picket lines have been operating around the clock in Roseburg, Eugene, Springfield, Newport, and Coos Bay since September 19th. For more information on these stories and complete local news coverage, go to 541radio.com. In sports, coming up tonight, it's a full slate of high school football, and we're entering the home stretch for teams looking to make a final push to the postseason. On the radio, Roseburg will night at Finley Field. That game kicks off at 7 p.m., and you can tune in for coverage starting at 6:45 on the Score 92.3 FM and 1490 AM, or watch online at 541radio.com. In college football, number 3 Oregon Ducks prepare to host number 2 Ohio State. Tune in for that game on News Radio 93.9 FM and 1240 KQEM with pregame starting at 2:30. While Oregon State is on the road for their first game against Nevada on Saturday, things will kick off at 4:30. Tune in for coverage starting at 2:30 on the Score 92.3 FM, 1490 AM. Tonight, a chance of rain, partly cloudy and 55 for a low, while tomorrow a slight chance of rain and a high in the mid-70s. News and information 24/7 at 541radio.com. I'm Ashley Claiborne with the Score 92.3 FM, 1490 AM.
Ready, aim, and shoot. It's time for the Share Your Shot photo contest presented by Waldron's Outdoor Sports, Big O Tires, and The Score. You could win a stunning new rifle from Waldron's Outdoor Sports, plus a $400 gift certificate from Big O Tires. Simply upload your photo of this year's deer harvest to 541radio.com or drop off a photo at Waldron's Outdoor Sports. Remember, this is a photo contest, not a Biggest Gamer rack. So smile and share your shot. Brought to you by Waldron's Outdoor Sports, Big O Tires, and The Score.
This Veterans Day, let's salute those who have served with love, respect, and gratitude. For just $30, you can honor the veteran in your life with a heartfelt message and a cherished photo in the News Review's special Veterans section. It's a chance to show your support and admiration. Submitting your tribute is easy. Simply visit our website at nrtoday.com or stop by our office at 345 Northeast Winchester Street in Roseburg. The deadline to submit is Friday, October 25th by 5 p.m.
Covering the latest buzz from the gridiron, this is the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show, presented by BTB Moving.
Back here in the Score Sports closet. Hey, it's time for Share Your Shot, the photo contest presented by Waldron's Outdoor Sports, Big O Tires, and here on the Score. You could win a stunning new rifle from Waldron's Outdoor Sports plus a $400 gift certificate from Big O Tires. All you got to do is upload your photo of this year's deer harvest to 541radio.com or drop off a photo at Waldron's Outdoor Sports. It's a photo contest, not a Biggest Gamer rack, so all you got to do is smile and share your shot. Brought to you by Waldron's Outdoor Sports, Big O Tires, and the Score. Also, you have to not be me and my hunting party. You have to actually see deer and be able to shoot one.
That was the funniest text I received. It was so funny. So I texted Joey and I said, "Shoot anything?" Because he was gone Monday and Tuesday, and he was like, "No, I didn't get anything." And I was like, "Well, you still got time to fill your tags." And he's like, "Yeah, I got time, not deer."
Yeah. We saw a total of 4 deer in a week of being out in the woods up on the Fort Rock unit, just
no bucks,
just east of Crater Lake there. Yeah, no bucks. We covered a lot of ground. I might go out on Sunday. I got to check in with my dad and find out what they're thinking. Yeah. But we might, it's a quick, easy drive to get up there.
Depending on how the game goes, maybe you need to let out some frustration.
It's going to be it could be a late one too. All that fun stuff. So we'll see. I might try to get out there.
Shoot your shot.
Might try to get out there. We'll see. But I thought about like posting a thing like sad Joey in his hunting attire, shot of a deer, deer 1, Joey 0. Don't be like Joey. Share your shot.
When was the last time you shot a deer?
It's been a long time because I can't even remember.
You don't even remember?
I've only shot 1 deer in my time hunting.
Wow.
Yeah. No,
Just
I know.
one?
Yeah.
What's the
now,
story?
My hunting party we've had successful years, but myself, I've only ever shot a deer once. And I've been doing it for since I was a teenager. So
where was this that you shot the deer?
I should remember these. I was thinking about that I should remember these specifics a little bit closer.
I feel like if you've only shot one, you'd got to remember where it was, how old you were.
You are correct.
Was.
You will learn. Knight, you've been here 2 months now. You will learn. My memory is horrible.
Yeah, but
just bad. I remember the experience.
But
there was a deer we spotted. We were driving. We spotted. It was on the side. It was just doing nothing.
You were just driving, and you were well, there's a deer. Let's just pull off.
We were hunting, and we were driving around in the woods, and it was just standing there doing nothing, and was not worried about us at all. I had my open sight 30-30 Winchester that my dad shot his first deer with. I shot my first and only deer with.
Oh, that's a good. That's a heartwarming.
Oh yeah,
story.
yeah. My brother had it for a while too, but he never shot a deer with that one. So he ended up upgrading to a different rifle. We still have it. Nobody uses it for hunting purposes at the moment, but it's. And, I shot it. I remember I was young, I was maybe 15, 16, somewhere in that range.
Wow.
And
it's been
a long time. Yeah, it really has been a long time. And there were a number of years there where, the industry I'm in, it's high school football season. I didn't always have the opportunity to go out for hunting season. So I haven't gone hunting every year since.
Have you only hunted for deer or have you hunted for other
I've
animals?
never done elk hunting. My dad always did, but again,
about like turkey hunting?
I did go turkey hunting once with my buddy, but we did it one day and that was it. And
like
we had never done it before, so it was kind of more of a learning experience that you have to get up early and get out there early. And we did not do that. So
what about like duck hunting at all? Nothing.
No, and I've never really done a lot of bird stuff. No.
Gotcha.
But this was out in eastern, like I think Ukiah area is where we did that, and it one shot, but it didn't kill it right away. And we were walking up, and the thing was just in the process of dying, and I was freaking out.
The turkey?
No, this was the deer, and there were some other people nearby driving over to kind of check things out. My dad's like, you may have to put a kill shot into that thing. And as a first time, like early on, young, I was, thankfully I did not have to go through that. But yeah, I don't think I'm.
That sounds traumatic.
It was what stuck with me.
And you keep going back.
Yeah, I know.
Like you're gonna have to go through that again.
Sometimes I do worry about myself in that process. So my wife has softened me a lot. Yeah. When it comes to animals.
Maybe you got to try fishing, Joey.
I've never had I guess I can't say I haven't had the patience for fishing because I have spent a lot of time in the woods with not getting a deer, so obviously I've got some patience. But, the big thing with fish is I'm not really a big fish eater.
Okay.
And so
you don't have to eat the fish. You can toss them back. That's a great thing. They're alive.
I totally understand that. I get that. I know a lot of people do it. I just have not found a lot of the purpose behind it then. So, anyways. There's a big game coming up this weekend, by the
way. Different type of sport now.
Yeah, different type of. So, College Game Day's in town, and as we were talking about with Joey there and said earlier, like, this isn't the first time it's been there. I showed you my experience of College Game Day.
Yeah,
got a photo up on stage.
When it was on the north side of the river.
Over there on just outside of Autzen. Got up on stage and got a photo taken with Kirk Herbstreit, Reese Davis, and with Desmond Howard, the three guys there. Me and my buddy Ryan.
Where was
we got
Lee?
A chance. I think he departs quickly from the stage afterwards.
Gotcha.
And he's fragile, and I mean this was years ago, so
he's
frail.
They just said that he's not making the trip this year.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they said that.
No Corso putting on the duck head.
Well, he missed last week at Cal due to an illness, and it seems like the illness is going to keep him out this week, which is tough because he said before like Eugene is his favorite place to go for College Game Day, and I know that this probably breaks his heart that he's not going to be in Eugene for College Game Day.
Yeah.
But
that is too bad.
We wish him the best.
Oh, for sure. The atmosphere is definitely going to be. I mean, you got McAfee there now. It'll be interesting to see who they get
Coach
to.
Saban. Like, has Nick Saban ever been to Autzen Stadium? That's a good question.
That is.
Like,
they probably. Like, I would imagine it's got to be one of his first times.
You got to think. Like,
I mean, he hasn't been there to coach a game there.
Yeah, like, is Nick Saban going to be like, this is a tough environment? I know. Like, does he know? Like, has he been to Autzen Stadium?
That's a fair question. I'll be intrigued to see that. Yeah. What was your first or what's your most memorable experience with Game Day prior to this weekend?
Oh my God, this was like 2022. That was the first time I had gotten to go to College Game Day as a fan. Because growing up in Central California, you didn't get College Game Day on the West Coast a ton.
No.
It didn't go to USC. USC was bad for a while. UCLA wasn't great. Stanford didn't really host it. Cal never hosted it until this year. So I never had the opportunity to drive to go to College Game Day, and I had been a fan of the show for the longest time. Like, I remember waking up at 6 a.m. For several College Game Days as a kid and watching the show. Actually, one of my favorite stories is like the College Game Day. They have like one of these songs. It's called Silver Scrapes. It's like da 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 da. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh my God! So it's like one of those rollout songs where they like do a montage of like the university they're at.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's like a big song. My dad, like when I was in high school and middle school, he would wake me up in the mornings on Saturdays to that song. Like he'd like come on, knock on my door, and then like play that song, and that was like my alarm. And then it was like 8 o'clock, get up, go and watch like the last hour of College Game Day, watch the picks, and then get my day going.
Yeah.
And so I've loved College Game Days. 2022, I was a student, finally had the opportunity to go, and man, it was just such a great day. Got up at like 3 in the morning, went to College Game Day early. A lot of shoving. I didn't realize like how physical it was. Like they opened the gate and it was like a stampede out there. And people were so drunk. People were shoving each other, but it was fun. Like the spirit
it's
was
the
very
college
high.
experience.
Went Oregon beat UCLA, called that game, did play-by-play for it. It was pouring rain the entire college game day. I left at like 7:30, went home, showered, went to the studio, met at like 9 o'clock. I remember walking past as Sabrina's making her pick for the Oregon game, and then going to the studio to pick up all of their equipment, go over to the game, called the game, and then after all of that, went home, changed, and went to Bob Weir and saw Bob Weir at the Holt Center, which Bob Weir, the guitarist of the Grateful Dead, big Deadhead. So that was just a heck of a day for me. College game day for the first time, calling a top 10 game, Oregon winning that top 10 game, and then seeing Bob Weir right afterwards. It was just like, this is it. Like, that was one of the days of all days for me.
3 a.m. They open the gates tomorrow in Eugene. 6 a.m. the show starts.
People, according to some people that I know on campus, they're lining up as soon as 5 p.m. tonight.
I actually was expecting you to tell me they already were, so that's crazy.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That is crazy, but I am not surprised whatsoever. It's going to be a fun weekend there in Eugene. If you're going, we'd love to hear from you. What are you excited about going up to Eugene if you're headed to the game? 541-673-5551. That is the phone number here to the Score Sports Closet. We are going to get to our top of the hour break. We'll continue to talk about this matchup. We'll give some thoughts of our own on going into this one, what we think might happen. We'll touch on some high school football, though, next as we come back. Roseburg, real big moment coming up on their season here this evening. And, boy, it's a big showdown against the Willamette Wolverines. We'll talk about that coming up as we return here on the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show presented by BTB Moving. We'll have more for you as hour number 2 kicks off here in just a moment on The Score.
For your Score Sports update, I'm Knight Jarecki. Well, last night was a match that many may have overlooked on the schedule, but the Roseburg volleyball team earned some attention with a upset win over number 6 South Medford at Robertson Memorial Gymnasium. The Indians were able to pull off the sweep against the Panthers thanks to Arlie Ason's impressive performance, finishing with 14 kills, 2 blocks, and 1 service ace for the Tribe. Mason Tabor had 14 digs, and Grace Ibsen contributed with 38 assists. The loss was the first in league play for the Panthers. In other highlights from yesterday's local sports action, the North Douglas volleyball team grabbed the lead in the chase for the Skyline League regular season title with a reverse sweep against Umpqua Valley Christian. The Monarchs won the first 2 sets before North Douglas pulled off the reverse sweep to win the match 3-2. The Warriors will just need one more win to claim the regular season title outright. And coming up today, we got a full slate of high school football. The Roseburg Indians look to try to snap a 2-game skid against the Willamette Wolverines for a league game tonight at Finlay Field. That game gets underway at 7 p.m. You can tune in for coverage at 6:45 on The Score, 92.3 FM and 1490 AM. Or you can watch online at 541radio.com. The Douglas Trojans are 5-0 and face a difficult task this week as they will face off against number 4 Siuslaw in Florence. South Umpqua will look to bounce back from a narrow loss as the Lancers head to Coquille. Sutherland aims to rebound from its first loss of the year with a road trip to Brookings Harbor. You can tune in for that one on I-101 starting at 6:45 with Dan Bain on the call. Oakland is undefeated and rolling towards the playoffs. The Okers make the road trip to Illinois Valley for a league game. The Glide Wildcats are back at home for a showdown with Rogue River, and in 8-man football, Yoncalla and North Douglas square off in a rivalry game up north, while Glendale hosts number 9 Camas Valley. Also in 6-man football, Elkton will try to stud number 1 ranked Towers, and Days Creek looks to stay hot against Crow.
Whether it's across town or across the state, moving is always a chore. So let BTB Moving help with your next move. BTB Moving is a labor-only company offering statewide services, such as packing and unpacking, loading and unloading, piano moving, cleaning services, and 24-hour emergency services. BTB Moving is an affordable, veteran-owned company here to help with your next move. Call 541-315-0122 or find BTB Moving on Facebook. That's BTB Moving for all your moving needs.
It's never too early to start planning a great trip, and Julie at Flyaway Travel has blocked space on Princess Cruises for a 12-day voyage from Southampton, England to Cork in Ireland, Holyhead in Wales, Liverpool in England, Glasgow, Orkney Islands, and Edinburgh in Scotland, and then the port of Le Havre in France, which is in the northern port where it's possible to take a day trip into Paris and see all the important sights there. The ship sails on May 9th, 2025, and booking early gets you the best price. Call Julie at Flyaway Travel 672-5701.
A stove from Fisher's Hearth and Home will keep you toasty warm during the cold season. A new addition from Saving Grace Pet Adoption Center would love to be kept warm too. Hi, I'm Barbara from Fisher's Hearth and Home, and we are proud to sponsor the Saving Grace Pet of the Week.
Hey everyone, this is Sin from Saving Grace Pet Adoption Center. Perry the dog has been with us for almost a year now, but we know his forever family is out there somewhere. This sweet, affectionate guy is just waiting to fill your life with love and joy. Imagine Perry by your side. Whether it's enjoying your morning coffee on the porch or snuggling up at night, he'll be your constant source of comfort. Perry loves long walks and exploring new places, turning every stroll into an adventure. Come meet Perry today. You just might be the one he's been waiting for.
Whether it's a wood, pellet, gas, or electric stove, indoor or out, Fisher's Hearth and Home has the right stove for you. Call our family at 541-672-0306. For a cozy companion to be by your side and enjoy the fire with you, visit Saving Grace Pet Adoption Center in Roseburg or visit savinggracepetadoptioncenter.org.
Local sports talk in Douglas County. It's the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show, presented by BTB Moving. Fridays, noon to 2, right here on 92.3 FM KWRZ Canyonville and 1490 AM KSKR Roseburg. We're The Score, Douglas County's home for sports. It's the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show, presented by BTB Moving. We're setting up shop, so pop open the cooler, pull up a seat.
Who wants to have some fun?
Let's talk some pigskin. From the Score Sports Closet, it's the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show.
Technology is killing me, Smalls. Welcome back, hour number 2 of the program.
Am I Smalls?
No, I think you're taller than me. Every time I sit in the chair, you've got it lowered down. I don't like it.
That chair just
I don't like it.
No, that chair just lowers itself.
I blame you.
No, it just does. Do you know the amount of times I've been sitting in that chair and it just lowers? Yeah. Like I'm in the middle of recording something and it I start out this high above the mic and then by the end of it I'm down here.
Welcome back, hour number 2 of the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show here on The Score. It's presented by BTB Moving. Our good friends over there, if you've got a move coming up, they will help you out, providing labor services for your moving needs. Veteran-owned, affordable, dependable, efficient, and careful. Senior and veteran discounts are available, so book now at 541-315-0122 or find them on Facebook at BTB Moving. Okay, well, then I guess I can't blame you for the chair constantly being in a different position every time.
I blame you, Joey.
I believe Grady, one of our board ops who does the games on Friday nights here in the studio, I think he likes to sit really low, or it's the same issue for him. I don't know. But every time I come in after he's been working on a Friday night, it's I'm geez Louise, I'm on the ground here. Yeah. And I'm not tall, so I need to be boosted. I need a booster seat.
I was about to say, can we get you a booster seat?
Well, we got next week's clip for the Open, which hopefully I'll get all put together in time.
I have a quote. Can I play it? Oh my God! I don't have it. I have it on my passport, but I have a quote of you with Matt Watson. Oh my God, it's hilarious.
We'll get that for the next segment on the program here. But speaking of Coach Matt Watson and the Roseburg Indians, I did want to dive into some high school football, but if you want to continue to talk about Ducks and Buckeyes, we'll get into that as we kind of take a look around the world of college football this weekend. Obviously, the big spotlight is on Eugene for that 2-3 matchup. We'll talk more about that, give some of our thoughts on just kind of how things might play out in that game, although I honestly don't have a strong feeling on anything there. But
it's so close.
We'll get to that here coming up. But if you want to share thoughts on that matchup, or you want to talk some Beavers as they get ready to take on the Wolfpack down in Nevada this weekend, we can do that as well. But I wanted to touch on the high school football scene coming up here tonight because we are hitting the home stretch of the season. For some teams, you got 4 games left. For other teams, it might be down to 3 if they played in that week 0. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty.
No, you'd still have 4 because you'd have a bye.
Well, you'd have 4 game week, but, you may only have 3 games left, right? If you haven't had your bye yet.
I guess so. It depends. I feel like...
Because it's week 6.
But a lot of those 3A schools...
But could be week 7 for some, and you only get 9 games.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of them took the bye already.
Yeah, they may have. Yeah. That's why I said for some, not for all. For some, there might be 3 games left, or maybe you just don't have another game scheduled. It's high school football, man. It can be weird. We like the structure of college football and the NFL, but we don't get that with high school football. So, but we are getting down to it to where this is moving time. This is the opportunity for teams to start clinching those spots in the postseason. Some have gotten to a really good spot. I mean, I look at Douglas at 5-0. I'd say they're pretty much a lock to get into the postseason. I look at Oakland. They look to be a lock to get into the postseason.
They got hosed.
More on that in a moment. But this is moving time, and this is a critical kind of crux of the season. You know, coaches, they love the coach speak. This is the biggest week of our season. This is our Super Bowl because it's the next game on the schedule. But honestly, there usually is a moment in the season where you see it go either one way or the other, and for a lot of teams, this is that week.
It certainly is. I mean, it's a make or break point in the season for a lot of teams in terms of just trying to make the playoffs. I mean, we'll get to it a little bit more, but like Roseburg, this is the biggest game this season for them if they want to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And there's several teams throughout the district that really are in the same situation. It's just kind of getting to that late point in the season where your season can go one of 2 ways, and it's up to you to decide which way you're going to go. There's a lot of teams that are struggling with injuries. There's been a lot of injuries right now. But Coach Watson for Roseburg, he's made it an emphasis. I don't think anybody's ever played a game 100%.
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of these teams are at right now, is that not everybody's 100%. You just got to dig deep and give it your all, because these next 4 weeks are going to be huge.
Yeah. As he likes to say, everybody's dealing with owies.
It's so funny.
It's a really weird word to have to type out in your story.
Owies?
I typed and I was like, I feel like that's how you would spell owies, but
like
it really looks odd.
Like, had he ever lived a past life as like a kindergarten teacher? Because I know he teaches in high school, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that like only a kindergarten teacher. Do we have some owies? Can we get you a Band-Aid? Like,
Now he's gonna hear this. This is gonna get back to him, and he's gonna hound me about using the word owies in next week's interview when I ask him about injuries.
Joey, have you heard of an adult that uses the word owies in terms of like?
Hey, if you're
young adults,
if you're dealing with high school kids, you know, sometimes you got to treat them like kids.
yeah,
right?
you got some bruises, like,
Hey, they deal with their owies just like the rest of us.
Have you started using that around the house? Like, have you cut your finger like cutting like fruit or something and been like, "Aw, man, I got an owie."
I'm going to be using it tonight on the broadcast, I think. We'll figure out where to mix that one in.
Oh my God, can we like imagine this, like a big hit, somebody just like boom, it's like it's gonna leave an owie.
Coach Watson, I apologize for Knight Jarecki. You can take it out on him in the post-game interview tonight. Coming up tonight, though, big matchups. Roseburg, we'll dive into that here in a second. I wanted to look at the other ones and not gloss over what's going on around the rest of the county with some of our other schools. Douglas at Siuslaw, huge showdown. Douglas getting some votes in the latest coaches poll. Siuslaw number 4 in the coaches poll. Both teams undefeated going into this one. Douglas on the road. This is going to be a huge test for him here. They had Sutherland last week. They had their bye week going into the start of league play, so they had an extra week to prepare for Sutherland. And even Coach Garcia came out and said the team surprised him with how good they looked in that game over Sutherland. Can they do it again this week is going to be the big question. That team has been a lot of fun, and I'm really happy for Coach Garcia and that program because he's been putting in a lot of work trying to get them going, and they've got it rolling this year at 5-0.
Absolutely. I mean, shoot, we've been with this team from the beginning. We were there for the very first game.
Week 0.
Yeah, week 0 against North Marion, and they ended up winning that game 54-35, and done a really good job since that point. They gave up 35 points in the first week. In the last 4 weeks, they've only given up 21 combined points.
Nice.
Defensively, they've been doing a great job. At every game this year, 39 or more points. They scored 39 against Sutherland. Every other game, 41, 48, 41, 54. Like, this is a team that puts up points, and they're doing a great job defensively. Toughest test this week, Siuslaw Mapleton. Yeah. They're a really good team. They're undefeated as well. They're ranked number 4 right now. They're coming off a 7-point win against South Umpqua, and just the way that South Umpqua was able to compete with them, I feel like this gives Douglas a shot. And it feels like Douglas is a little bit underrated. Maybe they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. Just the fact that Douglas isn't ranked right now. They're receiving votes, and they're 5-0, and they're coming off a big win against an undefeated Sutherland team. This could motivate this Trojans team. Sure, they have to make the long trip to Florence, but man, like I think this is a Douglas team that has a lot of connection. This is a team that's been playing together for a long time, but they have a chip on their shoulder. I think they're going to roll into this game and give it their all, and I think it's going to be a really close one, but I think Douglas has a really good shot to win this one.
Only 6 teams are left undefeated in Class 3A football, Douglas being one of them. When you talk about getting no respect here, and this is computers, this isn't anything done by humans, but the mathematics have Douglas as the number 16 team in the power rankings, whereas Siuslaw is number 2.
Wow.
A lot of that has to do based on your win-loss record, but also on your strength of schedule and how the teams that you've played throughout the season have done.
They've beaten a winless Marshfield, who's 0-5.
Siuslaw has.
They beat North Valley, who is 4-1. Good North Valley team. Cascade Christian, they won.
They beat Cascade Christian.
Yeah.
Cascade Christian, traditionally a very strong program. They're 2-3 on the year. North Valley number 4 in that power ranking at 4-1. So yeah, a lot of times it's kind of, to me, a lot of times that power ranking feels a little fluky in that, like, I don't know how it kind of comes up with a baseline on some of these things, but if you get a chance to play some non-conference games against good ranked teams, even if you lose against those teams, you can end up coming out on the right side. So, but Siuslaw, I think, definitely has played a tougher schedule. Douglas, though, this will be their proving point. And can they come out and challenge against Siuslaw? And either way, they're playing a game on the road against a number 2 power ranked team. Their ranking should improve this week, you would think, even if they lose, because they're on the road. So hopefully getting closer to that top 10 spot. But as a current team leading a league standings and a current undefeated team being number 16 in what will be a 16-team playoff, that's the Douglas is looking to try and bump that number up. But they've also, I believe they put Douglas. You got Douglas's schedule up?
Yeah.
Do they play Coquille?
Yep. So they have Siuslaw this week, Coquille next week, at South Umpqua the week after.
And those are all top 20 teams. So
and then home versus Brookings Harbor,
which is a top 25, but Brookings is 23 or 2-3 on the season. So their power rankings, that conference is doing pretty well. So hopefully should help boost them up a little bit in the rankings. But huge one tonight. That's probably one of our biggest matchups going on around the region here this evening.
It might be the biggest matchup.
It very well could be. South Umpqua, as you mentioned, lost by 7 against Siuslaw last week, maybe catching Siuslaw looking ahead to Douglas, but they took advantage and made that game close in a home game. They've got Coquille, not an easy test there to go on the road against the Red Devils. Should be a big matchup there for Coach Stebbins and the Lancers as they try to bounce back. And then Sutherland suffered their first loss of the season. They maybe just kind of took that first punch from Douglas and couldn't get up off the mat last week, got kind of rolled over in that one, and now they've got to go on the long trip to Brookings Harbor. I was talking with Dan Bain earlier today before he took off, and he said that this Brookings Harbor team is young, and they may have a bright future in front of them, but they're kind of taking their lumps this year. Only the 3rd game ever played on their new turf field there at Brookings Harbor. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a drive.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
They're going to have fun with that one.
Dan was excited for the drive. He's like, it's so beautiful. I'm going to take the coastal route.
Oh, Dan's retired, and this is the thing he gets to look forward to every week, so he can take off whenever he wants. Doesn't have to host a 2-hour show in the afternoon. Doesn't have to worry about a radio station for the week. Dan gets to just kind of, hey, I'm free now. Let's go ahead and take off. We can stop for cinnamon rolls down at the Heaven on Earth place down south. He can check out the Redwoods, hike through the Oregon Caves.
So from Sutherland High School to Brookings, Oregon is 3 hours and 33 minutes in a car. On a
Which
bus.
Route is that? Which direction?
That's
is it
the one
taking you?
through 42 out by Camas Valley.
Okay, so going down and through Coos Bay and then down I-10 or down 101.
Yep.
Huh. Okay.
It's a drive.
Yeah, and on a school bus. I probably would say that would probably be.
Is that the way that they
method to go?
Or do you think they go through like Grants Pass, Cave Junction?
No, I bet they go that way just because I would imagine that 42 travels a little bit better than the Redwood Highway going through all the trees. I mean, there's a lot of tight corners in there. I would imagine a school bus would be no fun on that road.
Oh my god.
I mean, none of them are going to be great, but
I feel like that's a scary drive home because of the fog.
Yeah, it could definitely be. So best of luck. Sutherland coming up on I-101 tonight. 6:45 pregame with Dan Bain on the call of that one. The Oakland Okers on the road against Illinois Valley. They'll probably be rolling in that one once again, and they may drop in the rankings once again. I mean, we got fired up about this in the office yesterday when the rankings came out. The 2A coaches poll, I don't even trust it anymore.
It's terrible.
I mean,
Terrible.
What are they thinking?
What are they doing?
Because we all were waiting on the edge of our seats this week. But I honestly,
Dude, I just don't get
Sharpie, I would have written down Oakland, number 1 in the state.
They
somehow fell to number 2.
I don't get it. They won against the number 1 team in the preseason coming in.
Yeah.
They've continued to win. They beat Weston McEwen.
The two teams that were in the state championship game last year started out Oakland season. They rocked them both.
Yep. I mean, they're good. I don't get why they're
somebody had an axe to grind around the state.
They won 52-0 last week. What do you want them to do? 53 points? Like, is 52-0 not enough? I'm sorry, but like at the end of the day, like that's BS. I get it. They're playing Gold Beach. I get it, but they're undefeated. They've blown out every single opponent but Lowell, who was, again, the number 1 team coming in, and they still won that game by 7. They beat Weston McEwen in Weston McEwen 36-0. What more do you want from them? Sorry, I am passionate about my Okers.
He is on board. He is not only on the bandwagon, he might be driving it.
If the Oakland Okers have no fans, then I am no longer alive. Because
they do fall to number 2 in this week's coaches poll. Surprisingly, they get more first-place votes than St. Paul, who moves into the number 1 spot. They're only 4 points behind St. Paul, so it's not a tie, but it's like almost a virtual tie between the two teams.
So dumb.
Somebody must have had them.
They must hate the mascot. The mascot's the greatest thing ever, and they must have a gripe with the mascot. For you folks here, let me pull it up.
He will do that. Oakland was number 1. Somebody must have had them as like the number 3 team in one poll out there that drops them just enough to move them into second place. If they do as they are expected to tonight against Illinois Valley, there should probably be no worries.
For you fans at home watching,
for those on our YouTube channel,
like this is,
come on,
this is great. Like this is phenomenal. Everything about this, I love.
What I want to know is who drew it, because it looks like a student in an art class came up with this mascot.
It feels like this has been like a thing since like the 60s or 70s.
And it looks like, honestly, like there was one of my years in high school, I took an art class, and we did screen printing on T-shirts, and you got to come up with your own design. And I created a T-shirt for the high school. I think my saying was "All aboard the pain train," and so I had that on the back. And then I kind of tried to draw a Bruin. I was artistic. I like to draw. Tried to draw the Bruin mascot and made it on the T-shirt, and that's what I wore like underneath my pads every football game. All this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And literally, that's what I feel like Oakland's mascot is that it was somebody in art class drawing a logo for it, because it looks a lot like what my Bruin looked like when I was in art class in high school.
Why change it? It's a masterpiece.
It's great.
It's phenomenal.
I love it. It's fantastic. The Okers should roll tonight. Glide looking to bounce back after a tough loss. Another close one there for the Wildcats. They were on the road at Regis last week. Good program there. Unfortunately, came up on the wrong side. They are hosting Rogue River tonight. Our good friend Gloria might be out there sending us score updates on that one this evening. So if you're tuned into the Roseburg game, hopefully we'll be able to keep you updated on what's going on with the Glide Wildcats out there in Glide tonight. Number 9, Camas Valley, still hanging on to their top 10 coaches poll spot. They are on the road against Glendale tonight. Let's see if the Pirates can try and put something together with their young squad, their young core that did all their scoring last week. Can they pull off a big upset? That'd be cool. North Douglas and Yoncalla. It's probably kind of like the storyline game of the night. I don't think this final score is going to be overly close, because North Douglas just looks unstoppable right now.
They are a unit.
But it does seem like a fun game because the two communities have been intertwined the last couple of years as a co-op team in 9-man football, and now they're back both playing 8-man football, and they square off tonight. It'll be at Yoncalla. I think it should be an electric atmosphere, even no matter what the score ends up being. I think it should be fun.
Dude, North Douglas,
they're good.
They're good.
We talked about Douglas and maybe Oakland clinching playoff spots. North Douglas, they're in the postseason.
We talk about, who is it that we were talking about that was putting up points? Douglas was putting up points. North Douglas is really putting up points this season.
Averaging over 77 points a game.
This season, 80-24, 88-38, 58-30, 90-6, and 72-6 this season. That has been their final score.
If you get a 90 burger, I mean, I don't care who you're playing, you're good.
You're really good.
You're good. So North Douglas.
How many times is like the offense hasn't even played, or the first string hasn't even played the first the first quarter?
Yeah, I was going to say not even just coming out at halftime. Like they've pulled guys after the first quarter.
Like Hunter Vaughn had 5 touchdowns in that game. And they were all in the first quarter, and he didn't play after the first quarter.
Like North Douglas should be contending for relay team state championships in track and field coming up by the spring season because they have to have speed on this team.
Who's ranked ahead of them?
I don't have that in front of me right now, but I imagine
Adrian.
There's 2 teams because they are third now in the poll this week. They moved up 1 spot this week.
I'm just looking at
They are number 3 in the power rankings, by the way. Cross Point Christian is the team that they passed in the coaches poll. Cross Point Christian in the same league as North Douglas. They're at number 4. Yeah,
second to last game of the year.
Yeah, that will be the one to watch. Like that's the game to be at. Do you got the schedule there? Is that they got to go to Cross Point Christian.
Yeah.
That would be a fun one to go to because that should be a good game there.
Where is Cross Point Christian?
I believe it's Klamath Falls. Yeah. So that will be a fun one there. Crane, I believe, is one of the top teams. Adrian is number 1 in the power rankings. So, we'll see where North Douglas ends up in the seeding for the playoffs. But those guys, they have been 388 points. They are.
Oh my gosh.
The next closest in points scored this season, 364 for Adrian. 24 more points than the next closest team.
So Adrian's putting up some points as well.
Yeah, 364 for them. So, but that should be a fun one tonight. Hopefully, a lot of camaraderie and a lot of fun there for the two communities that have been together the last couple of years. We'll be playing against each other.
I just want to say that they've put it up 20 less points, but they've also played 1 more game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So that just shows how impressive North Douglas is.
Very much so. A 6-man level tonight, Elkton hosting number 1 ranked Powers. Let's go, Elks. Stun the world.
Stun the world. Shock
tonight.
the world.
Days Creek has had a great start. They've got just the 1 loss on their record. Let's see if they can keep it going tonight today as they take on Crow.
2 starters with broken bones. That's a third of your team. But they won last week, and Keegan Stuffelbeam, he's now the QB. His brother Caden was the QB, but now Keegan's got to take over. And dude, do you know how big Keegan Stuffelbeam is?
No, please tell me. Enlighten me.
He is huge. He's
really?
Like 6'4", 200. Yeah, he's like 6'4", 215. Let me find the exact stats.
Jeez.
But there's probably not many guys that Days Creek's playing that has the stature that Keegan Stuffelbeam has.
And that reminds me, just like Elkton the last couple of years, they've had some of those guys that are just, really, they're athletes. They're built that way. And
okay, so I had the weight wrong. He is 6'4", 190 pounds.
He's a string bean.
But
that's some good size.
That's some good size.
That's
and then his teammate Aiden Denson, who I also interviewed this week. Aiden Denson, 5'9", 130 pounds.
Sounds like me in high school. Not anymore, unfortunately. Too many cheeseburgers. Yeah. That's your schedule tonight. Rosebrook coming up tonight as well. We will start with the Friday night pregame show presented by Mountain Mike's Pizza at 6 o'clock tonight. We're going to be talking about these games as well. We've got an interview with, who is it, Dennison?
Aiden Denson.
Aiden Denson, that's your interview tonight on the Friday night pregame show.
Yeah.
I just got a chance to talk with Josh Line, the head coach for the Willamette Wolverines, earlier today. So we'll have those interviews to kind of preview what's going on around the area and preview tonight's matchup for Roseburg. And we'll kind of share some more thoughts on the football matchups that are coming on for the local teams this evening. So Friday night pregame show starts at 6 o'clock tonight, rolls right into the Roseburg Disposal pregame show from Finlay Field tonight as we get ready for the matchup, Roseburg and Willamette. We talk about this just being a big moment. Like, I know the team's going to be focused on this week and this week alone. It's kind of not, I guess it is our jobs because we are in the media, but we get the opportunity to look ahead and kind of talk about the bigger picture. The team's going to be focused on the Wolverines, as they should be. But if you look at it, the next 3 games, all very winnable games for Roseburg because they're against the 3 worst teams in the league standings right now. I think maybe 1-2 wins combined between the bottom 3 teams overall this season. And Roseburg will finish out their season against the bottom feeders in the league. That's not going to help their power ranking. And with 3 losses in league, they are maybe not yet mathematically eliminated from an automatic qualifying spot as a top 3 team in their league standings. But the likelihood of that happening, it would have to be pure chaos in the league for Roseburg to be able to bump up. And the problem is they've lost 3 games against teams that are ahead of them in the standings. And so the chance of getting an automatic qualifying spot in the league this year for Roseburg, it's extremely thin. So then your chances are getting one of 5 at-large berths that will be in the 5A state playoffs. 16 teams get into the playoffs. So more than likely, you got to be no worse than maybe 18 and then hope that there's like a team that's like a league champion that was lower ranked that helps kind of knock somebody else out. Really, you've got to be top 16 to have a chance. And Roseburg right now, last I looked, 19 in the rankings.
Sounds right.
They fell to number 20 after games yesterday. Now, that might adjust again tonight after games today. There were a few games, especially in their league yesterday. So that might change a little bit as the games get played tonight. But Roseburg at number 20. They've got some work to do, and their hopes of trying to improve on that power ranking, this is going to be the best power-ranked team on their schedule left. The Willamette Wolverines tonight, number 14.
This is their last chance to really make a statement.
Yeah. And so it's going to be – this is a crucial game.
Yeah.
There's really no way around it. I think the other storyline going into this one is the fact that they're playing some former teammates.
Maverick
Akers, Brody Robinson, 2 guys that were on the roster last year for Roseburg, now at Willamette. Good players. Akers has been their leading rusher. He has scored a bunch of touchdowns. Last week, he ran for a touchdown, caught a touchdown, and threw for a touchdown last week. He had the triple play.
He's only a junior, too.
Yeah. No, that one
stings.
Stings.
I think that a lot of players are fired up.
Very much so. Talked to Jack Bana earlier this week. He seemed to be really fired up. I talked with Dane St. Clair after last week's loss up in Eugene as we stopped by Dave's Hot Chicken, and
That was the post-game spot.
It was. Dane St. Clair was there. I saw Corey Kimball was there. Caden Austin was there.
Yep.
Dave's Hot Chicken, the place to be after Roseburg football.
You had no clue.
I had no clue, but I knew I wanted Dave's Hot Chicken, and I'm glad we went there.
Well, I brought it up to you like the other week about getting Dave's, and you were like, "What's Dave's?" I've seen the signs. Where is it?
Yeah, I had no clue there was one of those in Eugene, and I really didn't know much about them. It was delicious. I want to go back. So
good thing we're going to Eugene Springfield a couple of times over these next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we got a game at South Eugene and at Springfield.
Yeah,
all right.
South Eugene to Dave's is very close.
Dave's, here we come. Let's get a sponsorship. Looking forward to that. But this, I think they're going to downplay it in talking with us, but I think the fact that they're going to be trying to prove a point that hey, look, you guys went to go play somewhere else. We're doing pretty good here. We're having a good time here playing at Roseburg football. So, and more importantly, look, they could, if they win their final 3 games, Roseburg can finish with a winning record, which would be one of the first times they've done that in a few seasons, which is positive. But I think Coach Watson has continued to tell us, moral victories are nice, but we want some real victories, and they want more than just a winning record that they can go home and say they had this year. They want to make the playoffs, and they are right there on the verge, but it's going to be a battle to get in. So finishing with 4 straight wins to finish out the year could get them there. It's going to be close, but they've got to. I think it's really their best option to get there.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. The next 3 weeks, you don't improve your resume. This is the only game that you can improve your resume, and it's an undefeated Willamette team with a coach that has brought in a lot of good players. He has constructed a roster. It ain't easy going from winless to 5-0, and that's exactly what Willamette's done this season.
They have found a way to do it. All right, we've talked a lot of high school football here on the program. We are looking forward to all of the games coming up tonight, but we will be out at Roseburg High School for the Indians and the Wolverines. Kickoff at 7 o'clock. You can tune in for the game right here on the radio, or you can find us with the live video simulcast at 541radio.com and on our YouTube channel. Search 1490 The Score on YouTube. You'll find us there. That's where we're streaming the show right now if you happen to be watching. Hit the subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss our next broadcast here on The Score. So hopefully you'll tune in for that one, and we'll try our best to keep you updated on all the other local games going on here tonight. Got to get to a break. We'll do that now, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the college football scene in general this weekend, touch on some of that. Give us a call at 541-673-5551. Share your thoughts on what's going on in the world of football here right now. As for the program, it's the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show presented by BTB Moving. Let's get you a score update with Knight Jarecki.
For your Score Sports Update, I'm Knight Jarecki. Well, last night was a match that many may have overlooked on the schedule, but the Roseburg volleyball team earned some attention last night as the Indians never wavered in a Southwest Conference match against number 6 South Medford and stunned the Panthers with a 3-set sweep at Robertson Memorial Gymnasium. Senior Arlie Asen led an all-around strong effort by the Tribe with 14 kills, 2 blocks, and 1 service ace. Mason Tabor had 14 digs, and Grace Ipson contributed 38 assists. The loss was the first in league play for the Panthers. And other highlights from yesterday's local sports action, the North Douglas volleyball team grabbed the lead in the chase for the Skyline League regular season title. The Warriors celebrated senior night with a thrilling 5-set comeback victory over Umpqua Valley Christian. The Monarchs won the first 2 sets before North Douglas pulled off the reverse sweep to win the match 3-2. The Warriors will need just one more win to claim the regular season title outright. The Sutherland boys soccer team is closing in on its first league title since 1995 after a 1-0 win over rival Umpqua Valley Christian. Anthony Rostock scored the decisive goal in the second half. And the Sutherland girls soccer team held on for a tie in the first of the league standings with a dominating 8-0 win over South Umpqua Riddle. Kelsey Engelstad had 2 of the goals for the Bulldogs. You can check out the full local sports schedule and scoreboard at 541radio.com. Also coming up tonight, it's a full slate of high school football, and the Roseburg Indians will try to snap a 2-game skid as the Indians host Willamette for a league game tonight at Finley Field. Willamette undefeated this season, and the Indians look to keep their postseason hopes alive with a win tonight. The game kicks off at 7 p.m. You can tune in for coverage at 6:45 p.m. on the Score, 92.3 FM and 1490 AM.
Whether it's across town or across the state, moving is always a chore. So let BTB Moving help with your next move. BTB Moving is a labor-only company offering statewide services such as packing and unpacking, loading and unloading, piano moving, cleaning services, and 24-hour emergency services. BTB Moving is an affordable, veteran-owned company here to help with your next move. Call 541-315-0122 or find BTB Moving on Facebook. That's BTB Moving for all your moving needs.
Join Wildlife Safari for a family-friendly Halloween festival. Jubilee is back. Enjoy animal shows in the Safari Village. Go trick-or-treating, grab a snack, and more, all at Wildlife Safari. Due to popularity, Wildlife Safari's Jubilee will be held on 3 nights, October 25th, 26th, and 27th from 5 to 8 p.m. Get your tickets now for a spooktacular evening at wildlifesafari.net. Wildlife Safari, any closer and you'd be lunch.
Talking prep football, Beavers, Ducks, and the NFL. This is the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show, presented by BTB Moving.
I just look like a midget over here. What are we doing? That was the quote that I wanted to get, because you were like, man, I just feel so small, and that's a better quote.
I look like a midget over here.
I just look like a midget. What are we doing? Oh, that was my favorite thing. So just to give you folks,
he gets all the outtakes.
Yeah, I get the outtakes. So each week we do our Roseburg Roundup. You can find it on our social media, 1490 The Score online, KSKR on Twitter, and 1490 The Score on Instagram and Facebook. But we do these Roseburg Roundups, and Joey does an interview with Coach Watson, and then we do some interviews with some student athletes. We put it together, compile a video. Well, I'm the one that gets to edit those, and Joey, because I'm anchoring the news, he goes out there and does the interviews, and so he brings me back the footage, and he gets out there, he's doing the interview by himself, and there's always this little banter back and forth between him and Coach Watson before they actually start the interview, because he has to start recording before he gets out and does the thing, right? So he's like standing there, and he's explaining to Coach Watson about his experience going up to George Fox, calling a game up there, and Jacob Archer, good friend of mine. He's
like
voice.
6'5".
Yeah, he's like 6'5". And they put him next to the camera, which was like at the top of the booth. And so it was like big, tall Jacob right next to the camera, and then Joey right next to him. And Joey's just explaining to Coach Watson about all of his insecurities, because this is what happens beforehand. And he's just like, I feel so small standing next to him. And then they were like talking about Jacob Archer. You're just like, I just feel like a midget over here.
Yeah. It's all true. It's exactly. He's tall to begin with, and then he was right next to the camera, and I was further away, and the depth perception made it just look like I was.
It's like
an Oompa Loompa.
It's like somebody took like their iPhone, put it to like 0.5, and then put it over your head and took a photo. That's like exactly what it looked like.
Exactly. It's all those clips on reels on Instagram or TikTok with the tall boyfriend and the short girlfriend. Yeah, that's me there. Yeah. Good stuff. Hey, college football. Yeah, there's the Ducks. There's the Buckeyes. But there's October 12th was the date.
Yeah.
There's some other good ones going on.
There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, there are. I was looking at top 25 showdowns between other ones here, and rolling through that. Number 1, Texas. At number 8. Well, actually, this one's the neutral site because it's the Red River rivalry, right?
Yeah.
It's always on a neutral site.
It's always at the Cotton Bowl.
Cotton Bowl. So that one is tomorrow at 12:30 on ABC.
Mm-hmm.
You've got, let's see here. I know there's Oregon and Ohio State.
Penn State at USC at the Collie. A couple of Blue Bloods. Tickets as low as $26 if you're in the LA area and for some reason listening to our show. You should go to that game. That's a good game.
How high did USC get in the ranking? Weren't they?
They dropped out.
Well, I know, but how high did they get? Were they a top 10 team? I thought they were at one point.
They were at number 11.
I do remember them being 11, but I thought they might have cracked in.
They were number 11 and lost to Michigan. Then the week after, they played Wisconsin, and they were number 13. So they only dropped 2 spots. And then they just lost to Minnesota, and they were number 11 once again. So they dropped from 11 out of the rankings.
Wow. Tough there for Link. Did you see, or not Lane Kiffin, but
Lincoln Riley?
Yeah, that guy. Did you see his post-game thing where he was like, let's ask professional questions?
No.
You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Somebody asked because there was a controversial touchdown call, it sounded like, in that game.
Did you see the call?
I didn't see it, no. I missed a lot of football over the weekend because I was deer hunting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're out deer hunting, so you didn't see. So I was watching this game on my phone at Jersey Lily. Great place to watch a game, by the way.
He was taking his friends to all the watering holes in the area.
Went to Blocktoberfest and figured that wasn't enough beer, so went to Jersey Lily.
I love it.
I love Jersey Lily.
Jersey Lily's great.
A great burger, really, really good burger.
Yeah.
So we're watching the game on my phone, me and my buddy, and there is a play at the end of the game. It's tied 17-17 with under a minute to go. 4th and 1 from the 1-yard line. The Minnesota quarterback takes the snap, QB sneak up the middle. It looks like he gets in. They rule that he did not get in. and then they go and review it, there's no angle that shows the ball crossing the line, but you can see that his body looks to be halfway across the line, and they actually called it a touchdown.
Oh.
And Lincoln Riley was making the case, there's nowhere in the rules book that you can just assume that the ball crossed the line. You have to actually have
definitive proof
that the ball crossed the line. They didn't have that, and they still ruled it a touchdown. And so he was upset about it.
Yeah, no, I get that.
He went and asked the Big Ten refs this week what happened, and they said there is no definitive evidence that the ball crossed the line. He's upset. He is very upset with that ruling. USC lost. And yeah, I think that he's growing and frustrated because he thought that, leaving Oklahoma, escaping Oklahoma to the SEC for USC would be an easy transition, that it would be easy to recruit Southern California, that he would just find success in the Trojan Gold. But that just certainly hasn't been the case. He's lost quite a bit, and losing to a team like Minnesota and finding yourself now 3-2. It's disappointing for a lot of USC fans.
Oh, big time.
I even remember having a conversation last year with my buddy Eli, who's the voice of USC women's basketball right now. And me and him were both still in college at the time. He was calling the USC-Oregon game for their student station. I was calling the Oregon-USC game for our student station. And we were talking about Dan Lanning and Lincoln Riley. And I was like, I feel a lot more confident that Dan Lanning's Oregon's coach, even though he's less proven than Lincoln Riley. It just feels like the upward trajectory is right there, that he's building a program, that the recruiting's there, and that this is going to be something that can be sustained. And my buddy was like, no, you still got to go with Lincoln Riley. Like, if you think at the two coaches and their career resume, you got to pick Lincoln Riley based on the success that he had at Oklahoma, based on the success that he had offensively year one at USC. And yes, the defense has been much improved this year, but at the end of the day, you need wins.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much time he's going to have. I think that he made the right decision. He fired the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Alex Grinch should not have been the defensive coordinator at USC. And he did the right thing, and he fired him, and he got a completely new defensive staff. But you're back to level one. Like, you're restarting. It's not like this is year one. This is year 3. And you're restarting again. And so now that clock is even ticking even more, it feels like. I don't know. I think a lot of USC fans are upset. I think this Penn State-USC game is very interesting because I think there's cases for the coach to be fired on both sides, no matter who loses.
Yeah.
Because as much as I love James Franklin, I think he's a great coach. He's 25-0 against everybody in the Big Ten the last couple of years, not named Michigan, not named Ohio State.
Yeah.
And this is the time where if you lose to USC, that's another team that you're losing to. And sure, you can beat Rutgers. You can beat Indiana. You were in the Big Ten East. The Big Ten's East is weak other than Ohio State and other than Michigan. Now you don't have that luxury. The Big Ten's bigger. You don't have the divisions. You don't have the East and West. You got to win on the road at USC. It's tough.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is
at you. Yeah, that's
a
long trip.
That is a long trip. They had to fly out of Harrisburg. The runway at State College is not long enough.
I was just going to find this because I did see something on that front of teams having to travel across the country to be able to go do that. So I also was watching the Oregon Duck show up on a motorcycle on the Pat McAfee show, just cruising through Autzen Stadium. How many stadiums are going to let a motorcycle just drive all over their field like that? I wonder if they got special tires on that thing to try and protect the turf. I mean, I'm sure they replace that turf
it's turf.
Every couple of
rubber
years,
meets
so.
rubber.
Oh boy,
am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. That's definitely true. Let's see here.
But
Big Ten versus former Pac-12 teams in 2024. Oregon, USC, UCLA, Washington joined the Big Ten. Significant portion of Big Ten Media Day was spent analyzing the impact of increased travel. Here's a look at home and road record for the schools against the new competition. So Washington is 2-0 at home, UCLA 0-1, Oregon 1-0, USC 1-0, and then nobody has a road win from those former Pac-12 teams.
Well, Oregon hasn't played on the road.
Yeah.
USC.
I would have
lost.
to dive into this a little bit closer here. I meant to look at it.
That makes
but...
sense because Washington lost to Rutgers. They won at home against Michigan. USC lost to Minnesota on the road. Lost at Michigan on the road. UCLA lost to Oregon at home. Does that count? It doesn't.
No, they didn't count that one in that record since they're old Pac-12
then UCLA
rivals.
lost to Indiana at home.
Yeah. So the home team is 8-1 against teams having to travel across the country in the Big Ten.
Who's the one loss? UCLA.
The one loss was UCLA.
Losing to Indiana.
Yep.
Shout out to Indiana. They might get game day next week.
Ooh.
They already announced that it's a sellout next week. I think Indiana has a bye week this week. Let me look. And Nebraska's coming into town. And Nebraska one loss.
Yeah, that could be a fun one.
I think that next week that could be a college game day situation going to Bloomington. Have they even had college game day in Bloomington? I feel like that's like one of those Cal situations where it's like, yeah, I got to have it.
You do have Tennessee hosting Alabama next week at Neyland there.
Yeah, but those teams both lost. Indiana's undefeated.
Well,
they're 6-0. Nebraska has a bye this week.
Illinois is hosting Michigan. Another top 25 matchup at the moment.
Michigan, they've already done a college game day. Yeah, Nebraska and Indiana both have a bye this week. So you have 5-1 Nebraska versus 6-0 Indiana.
Texas hosts Georgia.
That's
kind of a big one. That's kind of a big one. That is a big one. Yeah, that's next week's schedule. But that's kind of putting October 12th was the day in college football.
No, but
at the start of the year. Next week is got some matchups.
LSU at Arkansas after they just pulled off the upset. That's a good one.
Yeah, there's some good matchups on this schedule next week. Yeah,
that Georgia at Texas one is going to be
that should be a fun one. And I know maybe record wise it's not the top of the, but Alabama Tennessee should be. I mean, at that stadium. That should be rocking.
100%.
Yeah.
But but didn't they do Michigan, Texas already for college game day? Like week 2?
I don't know.
It sounded. I'm pretty
that
sure they
familiar.
did. Yeah. So I feel like they gotta go to Indiana. Like as much as
make the call.
As much as I support the Oakland Okers, I am all aboard the Indiana college game day tour.
You got some random things you're backing. Oregon State is at
Oregon's at Purdue next Friday.
Yeah. Oh, it's another Friday game. That's right. Oregon State is at Nevada. I don't want to leave the Beavers out there. I know right now it's easy to get overshadowed by what's going on in Eugene this weekend. And, I mean, as much as I want to try to be fair and not forget about Oregon State, it's a huge game there, and it's just really hard not to get focused on that one.
Yep.
But Oregon State, just a 3-point favorite at Nevada.
They're sleeping on the Beavs. What the heck?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that.
I think Oregon
one.
State's a lot better than that.
Nevada just 2-4 on the year.
Yeah, they're severely underrating Oregon State.
Yeah, I agree. Oregon State did have its issues last week with Colorado State.
So they won.
They did.
In double overtime.
Double OT. Let's see here. Who has Nevada played this year? They have lost to SMU. They beat Troy. They lost to Georgia Southern. Lost to Minnesota. Got shut out by Minnesota. Their 2 wins are against Troy and against Eastern Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, Eastern Washington's
they lost
a good program.
to San Jose State,
SD2.
who's a solid team.
By 4.
Eastern Washington, traditionally really good. This year, they're 1-4 to start the season.
So, what did I say last week? I said I didn't like Oregon minus the points last week. And I think I said I took Oregon State.
So you were really thrilled about that field goal at the end.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. Actually, that did help me out on what I was thinking on that one. Yeah. And then Oregon State was looking good, and then all of a sudden they found themselves going to overtime, and I was like, well, there goes, because I think I laid the points with the Beavers, but I took the points with Michigan State, and so yeah, I don't think I did well that last week. So, but I would lay the points with Oregon State again this week. I think winning by more than 3 is I feel like that should happen.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
And that's a 4:30 start time tomorrow as well. So Oregon and Oregon State both going on at the same time. If you want to keep tabs on that game while maybe you're watching the Duck game or you just want to tune in on the radio, you're out and about, we've got you covered. Tune in for Oregon State football right here on The Score. Pregame starts tomorrow at 2:30. All right, we got to get to a break. When we come back, we are going to be quick, but we will give some final thoughts on Oregon and Ohio State coming up tomorrow in Eugene. Back after this, here on The Score, it's the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show presented by BTB Moving. Ready, aim, and shoot. It's time for the Share Your Shot photo contest presented by Waldron's Outdoor Sports, Big O Tires, and The Score. You could win a stunning new rifle from Waldron's Outdoor Sports plus a $400 gift certificate from Big O Tires. Simply upload your photo of this year's deer harvest to 541radio.com or drop off a photo at Waldron's Outdoor Sports. Remember, this is a photo contest, not a Biggest Gamer rack. So smile and share your shot. Brought to you by Waldron's Outdoor Sports, Big O Tires, and The Score.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-627-7754. 800-627-7754. 800-627-7754.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hanging out and talking ball. It's the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show, presented by BTB Moving. Fridays noon to 2 on The Score. Tune in each week as Joey, Keeran, and Knight Jarecki recap, debate, and break down the latest topics and hottest headlines in high school, college, and professional football. Join the fun by calling the show at 541-673-5551 or message us on X at KSKR The Score. It's local sports talk in Douglas County. It's the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show on The Score.
Man, I loved playing high school sports growing up. And it's fun being a fan now, don't get me wrong, but sitting in the stands feels like I'm missing out on all the action, you know? I wanted to get back in the game, so I signed up to be a high school official. It takes me back to my playing days. I'm supporting students, and I get paid to make the big calls. Do you want to see the game up close? Sign up to become an official in Oregon at highschoolofficials.com.
From Astoria to Klamath Falls.
And we are excited to keep this thing moving.
From LeGrand to Roseburg.
And compete at a championship level and a top 25 level.
The Beaver State is primed to stay united as one. Join us Saturday. The Beavs visit the Nevada Wolfpack. Our coverage begins at 2:30 on the Beaver Sports Network.
On The Score, Douglas County's home for the OSU Beavers.
From the Score Sports Closet, this is the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show, presented by BTB Moving.
We have way too much fun around here. I was big. I love the Sky, and I like it even more now than I did when it was a thing. Like that brass big bound sound. It's just awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. It's good stuff.
Real big fish.
You give me a horn in there, man. That's good stuff.
Well, hear me out. The UCC fight song, but instead of ska.
Okay. Now, at first I thought you said the USC fight song. No, I was like, I've heard enough of that thing for a lifetime.
The UCC Umpqua Community Call.
We may have to explain that one at some point in the future, but for right now, some final thoughts here as we start packing it in here on this Friday for you. Oregon and Ohio State. Just a couple minutes here, Knight, so we'll try to keep it quick. Yeah. But In this game, like we keep saying, it's close. I watched a lot of analysis. Is Oregon's line good enough? Is Dylan Gabriel going to be good enough? Has Ohio State faced anybody? How will their receivers do? How's Will Howard? He hasn't really been tested. What does Chip Kelly have up his sleeve? What has Dan Lanning been holding back? What's your read on it all? Because I just really don't know where to go with this game.
I don't know either. And, I think Joey summarized it the best. I think that this is just two very similar constructed teams. It's two quarterbacks that are very similar, transfers from the Big 12 to a new conference, and seeing how they're going to do this year in their new conference, the Big 10. And I think that it's so interesting to me because it feels like Will Howard is not that much of an upgrade from Kyle McCord. The only difference is that he can run the ball a little bit more. And I think that his legs are going to be the difference in this game. Oregon's going to have to try to corral him. I think that Ohio State's going to try to establish the run. And if Ohio State can run the ball in this game, they're going to win. But if Oregon can stop the run, I think that they're going to force Will Howard to try to throw the ball. And I just don't know if he's comfortable doing that. I understand he had a big week against Iowa last week, but at the end of the day, I think this Oregon defense is the best defense he's faced, and the secondary for Oregon's good. The secondary for Ohio State's good. It's going to be whatever quarterback makes more plays with his arm in this game.
It's definitely going to be a very interesting one. Jeez. You said all that, and it's like I turn around, you could say all the same things about Oregon going into it. Gabriel's red zone turnovers have been a big topic.
Bad week last week.
Week was the week before against Michigan State. Yes, it was a red zone turnover, but the receiver fell down.
Two interceptions against Michigan State, and then one. Against UCLA.
Sorry, 2 weeks ago against UCLA. That one,
yeah.
But that one at the that got returned for a pick six. The receiver fell down.
I understand.
Like that one, it was bad. But like if the receiver doesn't go down, does that one get picked? Maybe it's just an incompletion. Maybe it's caught. I think you look at that one a little bit different and don't necessarily put it all on the shoulders.
You still can't throw interceptions in the red zone.
True.
As a Raiders fan, growing up and watching Carson Palmer march the team down the field and then throw an interception in the red zone, it is the most frustrating thing to watch as a fan. And you just flat out can't have that. If you're an experienced quarterback like Dylan Gabriel, you should know. You throw it away. Throw it away.
Yeah.
Don't force it.
He's got to be careful with it here, and we'll see what he does there. The point spread I've seen at 3.5. So it kind of probably depends on what book you go at, but Oregon, an underdog at home, have a long winning streak on the line. This is the stat I'm going to go off if you make all my decisions on. Ohio State is 0-4 when they are the number 2 team in the AP poll against the number 3 team. Since 2016.
Wow.
They've lost twice to Michigan and twice to Clemson.
Wow.
So I'm going with it.
That is a stat right
I know. Thank you, I think, CBS Sports HQ with that one. And on that note, we got to start wrapping it up here. Man, looking forward to Rosebrook football tonight. Tune in at 6 o'clock for the Friday night pregame show presented by Mountain Mikes. This has been the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show presented by BTB Moving. If you've got a move coming up, book now with them, 541-315-0122, 315-0122, or find them on Facebook at BTB Moving. Knight, it's going to be a lot of people. I don't know if I'll see you up at Autzen on Saturday, but I'll see you tonight at Finlay Field, man.
Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
Let's do it. All right, everybody, enjoy the football games coming up. This has been the Umpqua Basin Tailgate Show. Whether it's across town or across the state, moving is always a chore. So let BTB Moving help with your next move. BTB Moving is a